Well, welcome back to another video. We got about an 18-mile drive here out to the field to go do some raking and some beautiful fourth cutting. It is wet out, and I'm probably a little early jumping the gun to get on the road, but I figured worst case scenario, I get there a bit early, I can sit back, watch some TikTok, and drink some coffee, I guess. So there's a fine line between raking with a little dew on to keep leaves and how much moisture we have out today. I got probably a 45-minute drive up to the field. I doubt that much moisture is going to burn off in that time. But with the field being 18 miles away, conditions might be slightly different up that way. And I'd rather sit there for an hour than be an hour late because I was waiting on conditions to be perfect at home. So when you have this nice of hay and all day to do it, it's better to be there and hurry up and wait, I guess, than it is to kind of be behind the gun. So we got to the field around 10 o'clock, and as I expected, it was a little too wet to start raking. I've been sitting here for a little over 20 minutes now, just sipping coffee and relaxing, I guess. And some of the glistening's starting to go away. I don't know how much of you pick it up on video, but I could tell the whole way here. Just looking at the ditches, stuff was still pretty wet because you can see that grass shine just a little bit from the moisture on it from the dew. We'll get out here after I get done with this video here and take a look at it. I think it's going to need at least another 15-20 minutes before we can start raking. There's a fine line for those who don't really make hay. The main goal is to get hay dry to bale so it'll keep. Otherwise, it'll mold, and really wet hay will rot and or heat and cause barn fires. So the high, try to get that high quality hay. You want to get as much moisture in it as you can before you start getting that dustiness or that mold, those mold issues. So you get too low of moisture, maybe not so much this time of year, but in the summer, too low of moisture, you start seeing more sun bleaching because it's sitting out longer. But primarily on these legumes like alfalfa and clover, too low of moisture, you're just going to see a lot of leaf shatter. So you're baling a lot more stems. The palatability goes down. The stems get a little bit coarser and drier. So livestock just doesn't eat as much. The protein levels are going to go down because most of the protein's in the leaves. So there's kind of a fine balancing act, and you want to bale it as wet as you can before you start having some of those issues. And that moisture is really dependent on a lot of factors. I'd like to say this time of year, now that it's October, we can go a little higher because, yeah, you're going to go into winter. It's going to be a lot cooler versus putting something up in the heat of summer at 90 degrees. It doesn't take as much for that to heat. So I know some guys who maybe will bale a couple points wetter this time of year going into winter, but it's still pretty warm out. So we're probably going to stick pretty close to that. I'd probably like to be about that 15-16%. We're doing small square bales. When we get into big square bales, I try to stay under 12 to 13%, ideally under 12. Round bales, 14, 15, 16% is probably a good place to be, but realistically, you probably want to be under 15% moisture. So that's just how big the bale is. The bigger you get, the lower moisture you're going to want to see out of those bales. So big square bales where they're a very, very dense and tight package and much larger, it takes a lot longer for that hay to sweat or cure out or that moisture to escape the center of the bale. So you see more heating, a little bit more issues with mold and dust. So dust isn't just dust from being dry, but you get a little dustiness, which it doesn't actually come through as like white mold, but you'll get some dustiness in hay that's baled just a little tough, but not too wet to where it's actually molding. And when people say tough, that just means, stuff's starting to get a little wet. So if you're not familiar with some of that terminology, but here in our part of Ohio, we deal with heavy dews, we deal with high humidity. While you get into western states, they have humidifiers adding moisture back into the hay. They're baling in the middle of the night to take advantage of those dews to get the moisture into the hay. Well, here we're kind of having the opposite effect. We're doing everything we can to get the moisture out of the hay. So just different ways of making hay in different areas, but those are some of the things we struggle with. Let's get out of the cab here and take a look at what we're working with, and then hopefully we can get started raking. I wish I got a video when I first got here, and this stuff was just drenched, super wet. You can still see, if we get right there, you can still see some droplets of water. That's telling me it is too wet to start raking this. We don't want to rake all that moisture into the windrow, but as we get down underneath here, we can pull some of this off. And it might be even a little wet to be raking, period, even if it wasn't for the dew, but it's just hard to tell moisture on hay when it is covered in dew. I'd say another 20-30 minutes, we might be able to start raking. But seeing a lot of qualities I really like to see. This is some just absolutely phenomenal looking fourth cutting, full of leaf all the way down. Those stems are just loaded up with leaves. The leaves are still very soft. The stems haven't really gotten coarse on me. We had a lot of really good crimps in it. I can see that now just looking at this. The crimps help get the moisture out of the stems on the mower. So you can see when the mows it, it does crimp the hay. So right there is an exit point for moisture to help the hay kind of dry out or cure out here in the field a little bit. But absolutely phenomenal quality. Should make some really happy horses, I guess. I'm assuming that's who's going to end up buying this. But I did rake a little bit just to make sure everything was going good on the rake. I didn't want to sit out here for an hour, turn on the rake, and then find out we had some issues. So yeah, we got a little bit here. We're going to probably end up raking at least 6 rows together. It wouldn't surprise me if I change my mind and go to 8. But I like to keep a good windrow in front of the baler, and I might tighten this up a little bit because this is kind of wide. Not super wide, but if I tighten up that curtain, bring that in, I can set the windrow up a little bit higher, get more air through it, maybe a little bit more light. But also wide means it, either way, I don't know if it makes a huge difference either way with these rotary rakes. Really thick stuff I'll set really wide, try to use the whole pickup at the baler. Some of this thinner stuff, maybe I'll rake it a little bit narrower. I guess we'll just kind of see. That's just something you play by ear, and the conditions in the field dictate that. But we have a really nice grass mix into this, so you can see as we pull that out, some beautiful grass, beautiful color in it. I believe that's an orchard grass. It gets some of that bluish hue to it. But this field, I know during the first couple cuttings, we didn't have the higher quality grass that I wanted to see. There's this really fine bladed stuff, and right now I'm not seeing as much of it. I know in other areas there's a lot more of that. But this is just going to make a beautiful blend, a beautiful mix. Should be no problem selling it. I'd be surprised if we get over 400 bales on this field, but it is 25 acres. It might surprise me. Well, we sat here for about 50 minutes. It's 10 till 11 now. Got here at 11, or at 10 o'clock this morning, and I think it's good enough to start raking, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to flip on the PTO here, get the rake going, and we're just going to run it nice and slow and rake up some beautiful windrows. We're raking probably about 6 rows together right now. Some beautiful stuff. It might be a little bit on the wet side, honestly. Might have to come back in and flip it over with the bar rake tomorrow. I don't know. Want to combine them though, try to retain as much color and leaf as we can. If we have to rake it over again, I guess we will. Thought it was going to be drier than this. But maybe it'll surprise me. I got out once already and checked it, and it wasn't as dry as I was hoping, but I think the dew's pretty well off now. You see a little bit of leaf shatter against that curtain, which you don't want leaf shatter, but a little bit's a sign that, yeah, it's probably at a decent point where it can rake. Too much means it's too late, and none at all means it's probably too wet. So we're probably kind of right where I want to be for moisture, but I think some of it's just probably could have used another day. I don't know. We've got a busy weekend ahead, so plenty of dry weather. If it sits another day, it sits another day. So this is already 2 raked over. We're just coming back in, and then we'll turn around and kick it back this way. And I think that should be 6. Maybe it's 5. I don't know. You can see we're just kind of driving around in circles till we get enough hay combined, and then I just turn back the other way and then start kicking back into it. Well, as you can see, the windrows are few and far between. And you might wonder, is it even worth going out and making hay when it's this thin? And in a lot of cases, maybe not so much, especially if you're just feeding it. Now, there's going to be a lot of protein, a lot of feed value in it. And start making hay this late in the year to hurt stands as far as overwintering. But this is a very mature old stand. I think he's turning over anyhow. Regardless of what the plans were with this, if the stand was going to stay in production or not, the landowner was the one who made the call, and he was okay with me making a 4th cut on it. And you know, I'm sure he knows, you know, that it can hurt the stand. So I'll look and see if I can't really go on that run right now. Anyhow, if it is something, we're about 20 miles from the fire station, but yeah, if it was my field and it was a very young stand like I have at home, I'm not making my new seeding this year. So I can cut on it. It's just not enough regrowth to justify. And now that it's this late in the year, I don't want to make it this close to the possible first frost we're going to have. But if it was like, say, a 5-year-old stand, I probably would be making it if it was my hay, and we are making it. It's going to make some really nice stuff. I guess now you go on to the next question: is it really worth the time? If this makes as nice a haze, I think it's going to be anywhere from $9 to $10 a bale. And let's just use easy math. We're talking 10 bales the acre. I'm hoping that's 15 to 20. We'll just say 10. And we'll just say $10 a bale. I'm going to pay him $2.50 a bale, which comes out to about $100 a ton at 0% dry matter. which is what the local hay mill pays. And then let's say we got $1 a bale in cost, so now we're looking at $6.50 a bale profit, $10 a bale, and then 10 bales an acre. That'd be putting us around $65 an acre, which I feel like that's worth my time. It is a further drive, it is pretty thin, but you know, if it does that $20, 20 bales the acre, I guess, then we're looking around that $120 bale an acre, which is pretty good. Well, time will tell how well this stuff will actually dry down. And some of it's got some nice crunch to it here that didn't get raked. Still got some moisture underneath. I don't know why the rake misses random small spots like that, but I think it maybe is a little damp to be raking it. We might have to come back out and flip it over to get it to actually dry thoroughly, because that's still mighty wet yet. Not like wet, but it's definitely green. It's pretty tough. Starting to get some dryness to the top now, but I think we raked a little bit of moisture into these windrows. But well, we got plenty of time. It'll get dry eventually. Just we'll see how it goes. Well, regardless of how dry it is beautiful looking windrows. You can see one windrow here in this little chunk. The rest of the field looks mighty nice. There we go. We got it to focus. Some nice looking hay out there, and the windrows look beautiful. Well, let's go on to the next field. We got some clover to rake up. Hopefully that's actually ready. If not, I think I'll just park it or go home. That next field's only a few miles from the house. Well, I've got no clue how this all works out because we're here at the clover field now, maybe only 45 minutes after leaving alfalfa, and I thought that was probably too wet when we started. And this stuff is dry and brittle. And this was mowed quite a while after that alfalfa was, same day, but this got mowed really late in the evening. I think the alfalfa, I got done mowing that by 5 o'clock. Then I went and delivered hay and then came back and mowed this, starting this around maybe 7:30 at night, and didn't get finished till 10. So I don't know how this is drier when it's been on the ground less time and got mowed probably with a pretty heavy dew. Nice looking clover, 10 acres all wrapped up, raked up really nice too. These windows just look really good. I'm excited about this. Be just all custom work here. We'll be round baling probably this tomorrow night. I don't know what we're gonna do with the fourth cut. Had to have some riders along today. My wife's driving bus now. I was hoping to have this done before her bus route, but you get whatever happens, you know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll show you some chickens here in the next video or two. We'll be baling hay in the next video. And yeah, we got 125 chickens at the house now. Let's move the heat lamps a little bit, so hopefully that'll fix some of the crowding issues we have. Right there's a telltale sign you got cold chicks. You want to see them more dispersed out, kind of like this. But yeah, I can easily tell right there we got some chicks that are cold, so they're crowding to the heat lamps. I'll be back out in maybe 10-15 minutes and see if they've gotten any better. If not, we'll do something a little different, make sure they can get warm. Looks excited. So probably less than an hour later, this is exactly what I want to see. They're really well dispersed, all eating, drinking, and not huddled up around the heat.